And normally Leslie is here to introduce those, but she's not. So I'll tell you what I know. In August, we have our new investors meeting, which is going to be really cool. It's going to have the guy who developed our whole website, and it's going to be a little tutorial for everyone and all the benefits of the website, how to use it. If you want to go on and see a video of a past meeting, how do you do it? And it'll tell you about the free website you get with your membership on the website and everything else like that. Jackie, do you know any of the other content of upcoming meetings?
No, next week is South, which is Tuesday. So I don't have the topic yet, but hey,
I don't think Stephanie has sent us her stuff yet. Well, stay tuned. We'll be sending out emails. You'll get all that. Any announcements, Jackie or Chuck? We have board members on the meeting today, Jackie Richards and Chuck Jurgens. Normally we have Leslie, but she's driving today and couldn't make it. Y'all have anything?
No, I think you covered it. Just super excited. This should be a great meeting.
All right, we'll turn it over to your host, Audrea, and she'll take it from here.
All righty. Well, thanks for that information, Kathy. Sounds like we have some exciting things in the can. All right, so good afternoon, everybody. As Kathy stated, I'm Audrea Flinch. Welcome to WIRE. I'm really excited to introduce our speaker for this afternoon. As just to give you a little background, as part of the pilot program, I had the pleasure of meeting our speaker when she came in and spoke to the pilot program. Not only did she give us a really informative budget spreadsheet that she uses in her rehab, we actually had the pleasure of going to see one of her properties that was staged in Cary, and it was something else. It was absolutely nothing short of amazing. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Ella Beavers, and she will be telling you how to stage on a budget of $1,000. Ella?
Thank you, Audrey. Let me share my screen here and put up the presentation. All right, so is everybody seeing my presentation?
Yep, it's up there. Ella, do you want, I have some answers to your questions. Do you want me to start with those, or do you want to say something first?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we have Mike Ollison, does not stage because it's very expensive. Jenny Hollinger, yes, she stages all. Helen Feeney says, we're planning on it. Leanne Madty says, yes, I have staged my first property. I strongly believe it helped me receive the offers I did. Pamela Fox, I'm just getting back in the game, but I will be staging my homes as it was beneficial in the sale of my personal properties. Mary Kay Murphy says, no staging for our most recent sale. Next door neighbor wanted to buy the house furnished. That's a pretty good excuse. Anthony, thank you for some humor. Anthony Rivera says, I've put some fake plants in towels. There you go, Ella. Tell them why they should do better than fake plants and towels.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, and welcome to this session of TREIA. I am excited to introduce you to some tools and techniques of what I do to, stage my home so that are appealing to potential buyers who are looking at the house. As a disclosure, initially, I would like to say that everything that you will see on this presentation in terms of photography and items that have been used on this photography, all of those are my own photos. I didn't take the photos. I had a photographer obviously taking the photos, but the houses featured on this presentation are all the houses that I have worked on, renovated and staged and already sold. All of them have sold within a day or two, depending on the negotiation process and all of that. The other disclosure that I would like to make is I am not a stager. I do not offer staging services, and no, at the end of this presentation, you will not hear me trying to solicit a staging business from any of you. I'm a flipper and a property manager, and I own rental properties. My main purpose of being a member in TREIA and agreeing to do this is purely to offer some, my own experience and some advice about, how you as investors who show houses and sell houses can improve your chances not only of selling your houses quicker, but also maybe increasing the value on the home or getting a higher offer. So with all that said, this is just a quick of what we're going to go through. I try to keep this presentation very much at the, pragmatic and kind of giving very much practical advice, things that I've done, things that I've bought for my staging, my properties. I do not use pictures of other people showing how beautiful stuff they have. Everything that you'll see in these pictures is the stuff that I have bought or that I have borrowed from friends and family and from my own house to stage houses before they go on the market. We'll go through why is staging important very quickly and clearly appeal higher price. Staging room by room. I will talk a little bit about 3 of the most important rooms that have an impact on the house presentation. And as I go through room by room, I will go also through all the staging supplies that I've used to stage the homes. And we will wrap it up with the cost and budget and how much I really had to spend to invest. And then finally, some tips and pitfalls and a few DIY ideas if you want to take it a step further and use your own sweat equity to create some really cool pieces that you can use not only in one, but in multiple houses that you will put on the market. So I put this slide up just to kind of show why staging is important. This, I have to say, I've borrowed this from the Triangle Realtors Association. This is a study that was done last year with regard particularly to staging. Buyers agents and sellers agents were interviewed, and I found the report very useful and with some very interesting results and data from the report. 77% of the agents that were representing buyers said that the staging had at least some effect on the buyer's decision and view of the house. 83% said that staging a home made it easier for buyers to visualize the property as their future home. 22% of sellers agents representing the sellers reported that an increase of anywhere from 1 to 5% of dollar value offered by buyers. And 17% of those sellers agents also reported that compared to other similar homes that were not staged on the market, they received anywhere from 5 to 10% higher dollar values. It was interesting that almost a third of the buyers were willing to overlook at some property faults or things that may not shine a good light on a property when the home is staged. So they tend to focus primarily on things that, on all the beautiful things that are making the house or making the house presentable, rather than focusing on, oh, there is a paint chip here and they did not really finish the flooring here as they should be, or the house is not very clean, or what have you. And finally, one of the other kind of interesting data that I found interesting from that report is that one of the most important rooms that had an impact on, that was staged and had an impact on buyers was the living room. Obviously, that's the first one because buyers usually walk into a living room and that's their first impression. And then it was followed by a master bedroom. 42% found that a staged master bedroom was very helpful because they could see the size, they could visualize how their bed will fit in that master bedroom and all the other things that come when you as an end buyer use in your bedroom. And then 35% said that it was interesting to also see kitchens staged. I will now go through a stage by stage, a room by room staging. You will see in this slide, this is one of the living room. As I mentioned in the earlier slide, a living room has an impact on buyers viewing the house positively or negatively. So it is very important to present the living room in a nice shining light, so to speak. Some of the items that I use to stage the living room, I have on these slides, all the items presented to the right side are items that I have actually purchased. I will say pretty much most of the stuff that I've used, I've purchased through Amazon.com. I'm not advertising Amazon or endorsing Amazon. I just have a business account with them, and I tend to get good deals from them. The good news about Amazon.com is that all of these items are delivered for free. So if you have a business account with them, you get free shipping, priority shipping. I am also a Prime member of Amazon. So some of the living room that I've bought, supplies that I've bought from Amazon that I used, and you will see all these items that you see here. These are pictures taken from the Amazon site directly, and then you will see all these items also placed on my rooms in the next slide. A couch is obviously an important piece of a living room. Throw pillows on the couch are good to have. Some rugs are also useful. Keep in mind that rugs can make a space look smaller if they are too big. So depending on how big your living room is, keep in mind what kind of size you order or you get to stage your living room. Rugs are also very good if you have an open floor space, as these days those open floor spaces are very much in demand. You can use the rugs to basically define different areas of the living room and the dining room and another sitting area or a breakfast room. You can use the rugs to define those spaces. So in the eyes of buyers, when they first walk into an open living area, they could see, they could visualize, oh, okay, that's supposed to be the dining room. That's where our dining table will go. I see where the couch is, and then they can start picturing themselves and their own stuff in these rooms. I do have to say that whenever, one of the things that I find with buyers from feedback and other venues that I have to collect data is a lot of times it used to be that realtors advise their clients to stage their houses because it appealed, the standard answer was, well, it will appeal to a broader range of buyers, and it, you know, you try to keep it simple and general. Well, these days we're dealing with a lot more sophisticated buyers that have actually created already certain standards by visiting open houses or visiting primarily builder already model homes. So when these buyers walk into these model homes that builders have staged for them, they see all the beautiful design items that these builders have used. I mean, clearly builders use interior designers to stage some of their model homes. So these buyers have already created a preconceived idea about what they are looking to find in the houses that they are going to eventually look. And so understanding that psychology, understanding what these buyers are expecting to see when they come to my house is extremely important. And how I address that is by visiting, acting as a buyer and visiting a lot of model homes that builders have open. And that gives me ideas about, okay, I understand these days, this you know, semi-modern or farm style house items are very much in the hype, or also the mid-century type pieces are very much in the hype. So those are things that kind of made me look for when I went on, I had to keep in mind when I went on Amazon.com and searched for the items that I was searching for. Floor lamps, coffee table, accent chairs, knickknacks, like a little bit of a vase here with some artificial flowers there. Those are important things to have when you stage a living room. So keep in mind this. And now I'll move on to the next next slide with a few pictures of my own houses that I've staged using these particular items. As you can see here, I have used the same couch that I bought on Amazon. The coffee table that you see here is, I made this one by using a pallet and some legs like wheels. Over here, you see I've used those 2 chairs and those small coffee tables. In this house, I've used these lamp and the same couch. Over here, right there, I actually borrowed this particular item from my sister-in-law. She likes mid-century items, so I just borrowed it from her, and I keep borrowing it from her. And you'll see this is a different living room, a different house. I used certain knickknacks. I used an old window, you know, a 6-pane window that I've reclaimed from another house that I rehabbed. Most of the items, the knickknacks that I've used here are things that are usually items that I use in my house. I borrow all these items whenever I stage a home. That's how I control the cost of staging the houses. That's how I try to be creative and fill the room with items that give the buyers the impression that this room looks really nice, but at the same time, I don't spend much on those items. As you can see here, I've used in this this is more like an entry foyer living area. I've used the lamp and those chairs and those same coffee tables there, and the rug over here, I've bought it again from Amazon. Those are the chairs, the same chairs that I keep using over and over in all my staging. Keep in mind, you may make the title of my presentation is How to Stage a House for $1,000. Keep in mind, that's a one-time investment that you will make, but you will use those same items over and over and over again on different houses. So the investment, if you say investment per house, is a lot less than $1,000 that you will make as an initial investment. And let's look at the actual cost. The pictures on the right side are the pictures that are basically taken directly from my purchased orders on Amazon.com, and the costs here listed on this budget for the living room are actual costs of what I've paid. A couch cost me $180, coffee table $73, a rug $70, small tables $40, accent chairs $74 for 2, those yellow chairs. Knickknacks about $15. Keep in mind where I get the knickknacks. Some of them I borrow them from my own homes. I visit Habitat for Community. I visit Habitat stores on a regular basis, and I find stuff there that are almost given away. So whenever I see something that I think, oh, I can use that for my staging, I pick it up.
Hey, Ellen, we have a question for you from Leanne Madtees. How do you store your flip furniture? Do you
yes.
Or do you move the furniture yourself? Sorry, it was 2 questions.
Thank you. I was expecting this question to come up. I do have a storage facility. It's a 10 by 10 storage that I pay $72. And I do move everything. I have a truck, and I do move everything myself with my brother sometimes to help me. I have a nephew who's 17 years old, and I tell him, we're staging a house today. I need your help. He comes and helps me do the heavy lifting. But that's basically, I store most of the stuff either in that storage, primarily because that storage comes as air conditioned storage. I also have 2 other storages in my own property. Those are sheds. I use them for items that do not need air conditioning to be, you know, a lot of the knickknacks I use for this staging, they are stored in these big plastic boxes. So I just throw them all in there, try to be organized so that I can find things when time comes to stage another house. But most of those are stored in my shed. So yeah, I try to make do of whatever space I have, or any, you know, things that any other space that I can utilize, borrowing space from friends and things like that. But mostly, if you're good with organizing, and if a lot of these items on Amazon, I bought them specifically so I can take them apart. So the legs on the chairs all come off. The legs on the tables, those little coffee tables, they all come off. They just screwed legs. So you just unscrew them, and you can pack them in a very tiny space. They do not take any room. The couch that you see folds into half, and I just store it in the storage room. So a lot of this is very easy and manageable to do. So we move on to the other staging, the comments that you saw from the previous survey. A lot of buyers appreciated a master bedroom being staged. You'll see here one of the bedrooms that I staged. This is 2-3 flips ago. This is the bedroom. These are some of the items that I purchased and that are needed to stage a bedroom. An air mattress, some side tables, a rug, a bed, lights, linen and pillows, knickknacks again, some wall coverings such as paintings and pictures, and maybe a lamp. As you will see here, some of the items I purchased from Amazon.com. However, some other items like this handmade, I used an old door that came from one of my flips. I just made it a headboard. And also I had 2 pallets that I had from some delivery. I used those pallets, I cleaned them up, I whitewashed them, and guess what I used them for? I used them to make a bed. So those pallets are my bed. So let's look now at some of the pictures of the bedrooms that I've staged with the items that I've listed here. Right here, you see the bed. Those are the pallets that I used, and that is the mattress, the air mattress that I used, that I bought on Amazon to stage. Knickknacks, pillows. That headboard is different from the one that I made from the door. That headboard, I had some reclaimed wood from an old project. I literally pieced those reclaimed wood together with some 2x4s, and I made a headboard. I did not have to buy a bed. And buying a bed and moving it around is not easy. It can take also a lot of room. Well, this headboard and those 2 pallets, they all can be together and stand upright and can be stored very easily. That's again that pallet bed, the same air mattress, the same pillows that I borrow from my own home. Mind you, every time I stage a home, my wife always asks, when she can't find something, and she asks, where's the pillows, or where are the towels? And then she says, oh, I see, you've staged the house. So a lot of stuff that you see here are stuff that we either have at home. You see this painting over here? That's my daughter's painting that I borrowed from, and I used to stage this particular house. Same thing for that clock on top of the bed. That's another bedroom that I staged. You can see the side tables that I bought from Amazon, same items. That's a painting that I bought on, I believe it was a Habitat for Humanity painting. I think it was like $7 or something like that. But it goes really well with the scene of all my bedrooms. Mind you, again, I don't stage houses so that they look, you know, gorgeous like an interior designer. The whole objective of my staging is to provide, to give the buyers an idea about how they can fit their own stuff in different rooms. So basic stuff that I use is stuff that every buyer or everybody will need in their bedrooms or in their living room. And that's my main objective, trying to make buyers visualize their own stuff in this room by utilizing my own stuff. I don't go out and buy expensive furniture and expensive staging stuff that not only will cost me a lot of money, but it will be very difficult to also store them, because a lot of them don't come apart or are just very bulky items and things like that. I just try to be creative, put some sweat equity into it, and utilize anything that I have around me that can help with staging. And that's that same bedroom that we started with the bed. So let's look at the budget. Again, the air bed cost me $66. The bedside tables were $62. Throw pillows, $13. Area rug, $28. Believe it or not, yes, you can buy that area rug for $28. It's not quality. It is not a qualitative rug, but doesn't mean that you cannot use it. It looks perfect for the purpose that I use it. It meets my needs. A floor lamp was $35, and some knickknacks I bought from the Habitat for Humanity, $50. Total budget for staging the master bedroom, $254. Moving on to another area that is important, that is kitchen and dining areas. Some of the items that I've bought again on Amazon to stage the houses, and other items that I've borrowed from my own home or some friends. Cutting boards, not dried fruit, actually artificial fruits, plastic. Oil and vinegar bottles, literally from my kitchen, from my pantry. Menu book from my own, from my own library. A couple of plates, those are my plates. 2 wine glasses, those are my glasses. A few wine corks, 2 placemats, my own placemats. Artificial plants with some bright flowers. Some napkins, more plates, chairs, and a dining table. And that actually, I bought this vase from Amazon because I really liked it. It was expensive, but I liked it, so I bought it. It's red, it's bright, it catches your eye, and it makes a statement. So let's look at some of these items placed on my kitchens and dining areas that I've staged. You can see these are all items that I use on my day-to-day living. Everything. Those are baskets that sit in on my countertops in my kitchen. I borrowed them. And those are a bottle of, an oil bottle and a olive oil bottle and balsamic vinegar bottle that we use on a daily basis at our home. One may ask, where did I find this this table? It is my own table. I used to use it as in my workshop to do certain things. It's very industrial looking. It's nothing special. I had it for a long time, never used it before I started staging houses. And then I had an idea. I was like, I don't have a dining table. Well, I can use this. It's kind of narrow and long, but it fits perfect in a dining room. So I use it very regularly. And that's another dining room that I staged using those 2 yellow chairs and that table that I bought on Amazon. Small space, so I use the small dining table there. Some of the items that I use in a kitchen, you just see just bowls and cutting boards and a couple of glasses. I would say that's a pan that I borrowed from my kitchen. I would say using color, a pop of color is very important. It kind of draws, it becomes a focal point, it draws attention and makes it also very presentable. So I always try to be a bit colorful with my staging. And that's another kitchen that I staged. You'll see that is a book, a cookbook that I use. Everything that you see in this are items of my own kitchen that you will find today in my own kitchen. I borrowed them. All these items in this kitchen were borrowed from my kitchen. And this is that's the cost. And that is the budget for using the item, buying the items and staging some of these rooms, this particular kitchen that I showed you in earlier slides. 4 chairs, $109. Dining table, $90. A vase for $29. Plates were my own, glasses are my own. Other kitchen items, everything came from my own. The industrial table and chairs, I paid $50. Total cost, $278. And let's look at the bathrooms. Everything that is in these bathrooms comes from my own linen cabinet that you see, or from my own bathrooms. All these items that I have here are from my own house. Everything that you see here, I borrowed them from my own house whenever I stage bathrooms in these. So I tell you, if you look around your house, you will find a lot of things that you can picture in your own flips. And you can say, you know what? I will use that vase. I will use that flower. I will use that basket. I will use that mirror in my next flip. All it takes is a little bit of effort and a little bit of imagination, so you can visualize where each of these items would fit best in these bathrooms or in other areas that you want to stage. So it does, staging houses, sometimes you have to be a little bit creative, and you have to have a little bit of that eye, that imaginative eye, which I happen to have, and I'm sure a lot of you also have it. I don't think everybody has a aesthetic and beauty eye in them. So you can all, with a little bit of effort, can be creative and create beautiful spaces to present to buyers. This is bathrooms. I'm sorry, the headline there says kitchen, but I needed to change that. I used an old slide. That's a bathroom that I've staged using items from my own home. That's another bathroom. It's important with bathrooms to use towels, toilet paper, and some flowers. I use plastic flowers, but they look real, especially the ones that they look like the orchids. That's another bathroom that I've staged. That is another representation of another rendering of another bathroom. That's a bathroom in another house. So let's look at the budget. Well, you know, about $15 to buy a shampoo here or some other knick-knack there. The total cost for, not bedroom, for a bathroom was $15. So where does all of this, how does all adds up? Let's look at the bottom line. Living room, $452. Master bedroom, $254. kitchen and dining, $278, bathroom, $15, total staging cost, $999. That gave us right about $1,000 budget. You can keep it lower if you wanted to. You can use your own items in the house. If you find a chair here or a table there that you're not using, you can clean it up, you can paint it and use it for your staging. A lot of those things you can be creative and use for your own staging, and I guarantee you, you will control your costs and you will not spend more than $1,000. I did it. It's right here. You can see it for yourself. Let's just talk a little bit about what other things matter from my experience in some of my, in staging. A touch of color, as I mentioned, matters. If you use different colorful flowers or plants, different items that draw attention and make your, basically become a focal point, that is an important thing. You can see here, this item right here, this cubicle, whatever you call it, shelf, let's say. You know how I got that? I had a tenant who needed to move, and he said, I'm moving out, I don't need a lot of this stuff, do you need this? I said, yes, the only thing I need from your stuff is that. I got it for free. You know, you just have to be creative, and you just have to think creatively. Whenever you have an opportunity presented to you, think of it, and I guarantee you, you can be successful and you can use it on other places. As you can see here, that camera and some of these items that I've used in this particular stage, in this particular shelf, you know, some of those are in my background in my office because I like collecting cameras. So I use a lot of borrowed items from my home to stage the houses that I work on.
Ella, I have another question from Leanne, which is, how long do you leave your home staged?
I leave the home stage until I pass inspection, once the house is under contract. Once we pass inspection and we've agreed on everything and it looks like it's going to be a done deal, I leave them until then. So it's about 2 to 3 weeks into the sale, you know, from the time that I got it under contract until the time that I take the items out. Once I know that the contract will close, then I start taking items slowly. I do have a few investor friends who are now borrowing some of my stuff. So it becomes a lot easier. Like the last house that I had it staged, an investor had a house that was putting it on the market, and he called me up and said, hey, I need a few things, can I borrow? He came, loaded up everything from my staged home and took all the stuff and used it for his own, and then delivered it to my, when he finished up, he delivered it to my sheds and the storage area. So, you know, I didn't have to do a lot of work there. So it's really interesting how things work out.
So we have a comment that Valerie Meyer says she likes to leave it until the appraisal because she feels it helps appraise higher. And also, Ella, where did that painting come from?
That one? Oh, Habitat.
So that's a comment. I think when you are done with that painting, you should give it to Kathy Russell. Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
Sorry, that was a fake comment.
Yes, and it is actually a pretty large painting. I got it at Habitat for Humanity. I think I paid like $15, something like that.
Y'all, when she's done staging and gets done using that photo, I have dibs on buying it. So everyone else just figure it out right there.
Yeah. And I also talked to you before I'm reaching towards the end of my presentation, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, sweat equity and how you can be creative, and you don't have to buy everything and go out there and spend money. You can do some of these things yourself. Let me show you. I had this old slab that was sitting in one of my sheds forever, and I thought, you know what, I will just finish this and get some hairpin legs. These are hairpin legs that I got from Amazon.com, again, for like $35. I refinished this top, I added the legs, and you know what? Now I use this for my staging, especially when I have office spaces to stage. It makes for a perfect office table, and everybody comments on it. Everybody wants to buy it from me.
And what did you do to finish the top?
Well, it took about 7 days, because it took about 5 coats of polyurethane, but that was it. I used a sander to sand it really nicely, and then I applied 5 coats of poly, but I had to wait every day after each coat because it needs to dry, and then you sand it lightly and you apply another coat. I did not use any stains, so the color was original, and the color is that reddish color. It's just, I guess it was the type of wood that actually stained, that made it that color when I applied the poly. But that was it. 7 days of labor, and now I use that over and over. It's very compact, fits in. This is my desk in my office, actually, but then whenever I stage a house, I borrow this desk and put it in the houses that I stage. We talked about that door. I had an old door, and I needed a bed headboard. Well, it's amazing what you can search on Google and find ideas from. I Google everything, anything I find on Google. You just Google it, you click on images, and thousands of ideas will come to you. I promise you, if you utilize Google images, you will become a lot more creative. Even if you think you don't have it, you will have it once you start utilizing Google images. And
well, for example, what would you search? What's an example of a search you would do to give you creative ideas?
So I would say,
how do I make myself creative? Sorry.
On this particular case, I needed a headboard, so I Googled DIY headboards. Or when I Googled for DIY beds, I got the idea of making this bed from Google. I never thought that I could use pallets to make a bed. But I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. These are very easy to store. You can just lift them up and store beside a wall, along a wall, and that's it. They don't take any space, any room. And so basically, those 3 items, the headboard and 2 pallets, pretty much become the centerpiece of my bedroom staging. And I use it over and over and over. And I did not spend a dime on it.
That's pretty neat.
This one over here, you see that mirror? This was a mirror that was in a bathroom in a 1960s home that I renovated, and I used other mirrors after I renovated, to use for the bathroom. I used smaller mirrors, so I had this huge, humongous mirror. And I come from Albania. In our culture, it is really bad luck to break a mirror. So I don't break mirrors. I don't throw them away. I just either store them or I have to use them. So this mirror was humongous one. And you know what I did? I had some leftover reclaimed wood from some project that I'd done, and I framed the mirror, and voila, I use this mirror all the time in all of my, and the good thing about this mirror is that it is so tall and big that if you have a small bedroom, and you use this mirror strategically, when people walk into that small bedroom, they will see the reflection of the bedroom, and they will see, it will give them the impression that the bedroom is a lot bigger than what it is. It works wonders. I love this mirror. So that's another DIY. I mean, it cost me nothing. That was a mirror that I have and the reclaimed wood that I had. And another thing, this is an interesting one. That was a couch. It was blue. It was blue color. It was this really kind of worn out, ugly color. The couch looked really ugly. You know what I did? I Googled how to paint upholstered couches. And I got lots of ideas of how to paint it. I took a can paint, and I painted the couch. I literally painted the couch, and now I'm using it in every single staging that I do. It's perfect, works really wonders. So those are some of the DIY ideas. And again, there's another thing that I don't have it featured here is that that coffee table in the living room, that was a pallet. I literally used the pallet to make a coffee table. I just added 4 wheels. And it gets a lot of comments. It looks very interesting. It looks cool. It's kind of chic shabby, so to speak. It's perfect. All right, sorry. So I will move on to some tips for success. These are basically some of the lessons that I learned from, or tips that I got from different feedback from buyers visiting my own staged houses. Always keep the toilet seat down. It is very important. Whenever you have the house ready to show, keep the seats down and make sure that you put a toilet paper roll in every bathroom. You have no idea, but it really helps. It makes people think that whoever owns this house takes care of things and cares for stuff. It's important these days. Mid-century furniture, it's kind of very popular. So you know what? A lot of the houses that I've bought that are 1968, that's where I usually specialize in, a lot of split levels that I buy and renovate. Some of them came with furniture that sellers did not want. And it was mid-century. It was like I was walking into, 1960s into these houses, and they had their window curtains and treatments and everything. And I used some of those items. I just said, I can use these. So, but keep in mind, mid-century and semi-modern is also very popular these days. It could make an impact on the buyers that walk at the house. A pop of color, I mentioned that. I cannot emphasize how important that is. Remember, less is more. Do not overcrowd your rooms. A lot of people tend to, or stagers, if you hire a stager, they want to justify the high cost of staging the house, so they start crowding the rooms with all kinds of things, and that makes the spaces look a bit cramped and not really go together. So, less is more. Always keep that in mind. Also, be careful when you mix different styles. There's eclectic, vintage style, modern, rustic, industrial, traditional, farmhouse, mid-century. A lot of these styles, if you mix them, try to not to mix 5 of them all in the same house. If you want to have a bedroom that is a bit mid-century, but the living room is more modern or rustic, industrial, you can do that. But you need to kind of look at it, take pictures, and look at the photos and see how they mix together. Another thing that I've learned is that you just can't, you can do it yourself. I mean, you can use like I said, some of the items that I showed you, they're all things that I've made from scratch. I mean, things that I utilized, that I found in different, so there's nothing, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But if you cannot do that, make sure that if you hire someone, you hire someone that knows what they are doing. There's nothing wrong with hiring people to stage your houses, but there's nothing worse than a bad staging job. A bad staging job will hurt your listing. Creative staging, what I do is I have a staging folder with lots of ideas. Whenever I go around or I'm browsing on Instagram or on Facebook, or I browse pictures for ideas on Google, I actually create a folder, and let me see if I can share my, I'm gonna share my staging folder with you guys.
While she's looking for that, just to let y'all know, we do have on the meeting today Lisa Stewart, who does staging professionally. So as Ella said, if you're one of those people who can't or doesn't want to do this all on your own, we did use Lisa on the pilot house, and she did an amazing job, and on a pretty great budget. Not $1,000, but you know, we didn't have to do any of the work. So if you prefer to put the sweat equity and do it like Ella said, that's great. You can do it for $9.99. But if you are one of those people who would prefer to pay someone to do it, Lisa is a great choice.
And this is, I don't know if you can see my screen, but this is my ideas and design. As you can see, I have them all organized by by rooms. I have accent walls. I have different closets. I mean, it's not showing, but I have all these folders. And so whenever I'm looking for ideas, I refer to this. This is like my Bible, so to speak. Let me see. Yeah. So those are, let's say I need ideas, staging ideas. So I have a folder specifically for staging. So as you can see here, one day I walked into this house and I thought it was awesomely staged. So I took pictures of the house, literally, and I created this folder called Awesome Staged Home. So whenever I think of something, I'm like, I remember that house. I want to grab an idea or two from that. So bathroom staging ideas, a lot of things that you can just kind of use to get your own creative juices going. I will stop sharing this and go back to sharing the other screen again. All right, so like I said, we were at the tips. The other lesson that I've learned from staging different and getting feedback is that, you know what? Shelves and floating shelves and barn doors and barnwood accents, well, those are the hype these days. They are, everybody wants a barn door these days in there, somewhere in the house. So you have to have it. Guess what? I build my own barn doors. Yes, and you can do it yourself. And you know what? There's hundreds of videos of how to build a barn door. Teaching you exactly how to do it is it's not really hard. It even has a list of buying materials that you need to make a barn door. And you know where I get the hardware for the barn door? Amazon.com. So if these shelves, they are nothing but reclaimed 2x6s or 2x10s that I've gotten from demoing different walls, or taking down other things in houses. And then all I do is I cut them to shape that I want them, and I stain them, and I buy some brackets at the hardware store, and I mount them on the wall. But you kind of have to think, where would they go? And so you have to have an idea of what you know, what will go where and how big these shelves should be and all of that. But again, you can do it yourself. Okay, oh, sorry, that. The one thing that I have learned is that the nose knows. What that means is that if there are certain odors in the house that you need to avoid or you need to get rid of, please do so. A lot of times odors come primarily from a house not being cleaned. If you clean the house thoroughly, a lot of those odors will be eliminated. And then you can use some plugins to add some ambience odor, but please try not to use very, you know, heavily perfumed air fresheners or potpourris, so to speak. I use Senses, and I try to test a lot of the Senses new air fresheners, and I use 2 Senses in 2 different rooms, primarily in the living room and one in the bedroom, and they make the houses smell really nice. So that's what I usually do. And of course, I've seen a lot of homes that are staged, or that, you know, whenever I go into some sellers' houses, they have music playing. It is distracting, at least to me, but I've noticed also from feedback from other people, other potential buyers, they find music, even if it's mood music, they find that to be distracting. And you don't want to distract buyers who are walking through your house. You actually want to get their attention. So be mindful of that. A lot of people think that ambiance music is good. I tend not to do that. I do not recommend it, but everybody has their own opinions. So yeah. And with all this, I will.
If you could repeat that suggestion for the smell.
Oh, yes. So if you know, a lot of houses come with lingering odors. Some of the houses, especially
Whatever brand or whatever you use, they're asking.
Yes, I do. Hang on one second. I need to go and grab it. Okay. The one I use is called Atlantic Air, and it is lovely. And I use this in my own house as well. This is Sensi's. And so I use this for all my houses, and it really is a very refreshing, not very sweet and not very heavy. So I use this for all my houses, and everybody who walks in, they says, wow, it smells so nice in here. Another thing that I don't have it here in the tips that I've actually noticed that it makes a big difference is whenever you have houses, don't try to be cheap and turn the air conditioning up so that you can save energy. High temperatures in these houses will actually enhance the bad odors. So make sure that you keep the temperature. I usually keep it at like 71, or it's between 70 and 71. And it's really nice and cool, especially when it's hot outside. When people walk in, it's really cool and it smells great. That's the first impression. So those are very important. Anyways, that concludes my presentation. I hope you've learned, or not learned. I'm sure you know a lot of things, but I hope I was helpful with some information. I am willing to share this presentation with any one of you who wants it. I can also share all the links on Facebook that lead you to the different items that I purchased. Mind you, due to COVID, I think when I was looking for these items recently to make this presentation, a lot of them showed as item is unavailable at the moment. So maybe I bought the last item, or maybe, I don't know, but some of those items are unavailable. But the good news about Amazon is that it offers lots of suggestions similar to that, and the prices are not different. So I'm willing to share all of that. If you can just reach out to me, Kathy can provide my email address. I'm more than happy to share this presentation and my, the links to that.
As well, the video of this presentation will be up on the website by this evening or tomorrow in case you need to review it. And yeah, if anyone wants copies of the slides, just let us know. If there are any last minute questions, go ahead and put them in here. Otherwise, Ella, that was freaking awesome. You are amazing as always. Thank you so much. That was just great. Audrea?
Yes, I agree. That really was very good. I know you said you don't do interior staging, but you really have an eye for it, Ella.
I have to disclose that I am in the process of enrolling in the interior design, NC State interior industrial design course. It's an MBA. Well, not an MBA. It's a master course. It's a 2-year course and the end objective to that for me is not the course itself. The end objective is I'd like to become an ASID certified designer. That's the American Society of Interior Designers. And in order to do that, I need an accredited course, well, not an accredited, yes, degree. And the NC State's from College of Design is accredited. So I'm still, I'm still in the process of applying and everything, but that's my end goal. I like, I'm a GC, I'm a realtor. I like to collect licenses for anything.
Right. You can't go wrong with NC State.
Right. Okay. Probably not. I've researched a couple of schools, but I think I'm settling for the NC State.
Oh,
Yes.
so prejudice is showing. Where's your degree from, Audrea?
Okay, NC State.
My God, Ella, you are an absolute rock star. I mean, I can't even, so some people are successful when they focus on one thing at a time, and some are able to be very successful by doing two, following two avenues. I can't even keep up with the amount of licenses. You're just so incredibly talented, and I personally want to thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with your fellow TREIA members. You're a rock star.
Thank you.
And now that you've revealed all you can do, we'll be having you back for more topics. So
I do have some other things in mind because I will take my interior designer's hat off and I'll put the GC hat, and boy,
now we're talking, girlfriend. We're going to add you to all our lists. All right, everybody, unless there are any more questions, I've got just a couple of comments. Ella, Jim Tackett saying, nice presentation. Helen Feeney says, great job, she gave some tips about design. Valerie Meyer said she would love to learn to make a barn door. Ella said, Google it.
Yep.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for being here. Again, the video will be up soon. Remember, keep on networking on Facebook. Go make us a member spotlight video. Send us an email. We'll send you details. Keep watching for future presentations. We will definitely have Ella back now that she's committed herself. And y'all heard her. You're my witnesses.
Yeah, I heard it.
Pleasure.
Thanks all. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you all.
Mom, can I take the rest of the